Earlier this year, Robert Rodriguez's Sin City wowed critics and fans alike with its gritty green screen world of violent thugs and tough-talking babes. But let's not forget Rodriguez is the same guy who created the Spy Kids trilogy. His latest movie is The Adventures of Sharkboy and Lavagirl in 3D. And guess who gave him the idea? MSNBC Entertainment's Ryan Downey has the shark tale.
Max, there's no such thing as Sharkboy and Lavagirl.
When Hollywood heavyweight Bob Weinstein called the director of Spy Kids 3D to ask him if he had any other 3D kids movies up his sleeve, Robert Rodriguez looked no further than to his own son, Racer Max.
We've been playing in the pool that summer, and I usually play Shark, and we still do. We put the Jaws soundtrack on, I chase him around. And being clever, he decided to get out of being eaten by being a shark too. So he said, how about you be the shark kid and I'll be the shark boy? And I'm like, all right. He kind of stuck in his head, and for a few days he kept saying, I'm Shark Boy, let's make a movie about Shark Boy.
All you have to do is keep it on track. How can you keep it on track if there is no track?
The movie centers around a daydreaming kid named Max, whose dreamland creations, including Sharkboy and Lavagirl, come to life.
Well, well, well. If it isn't Sharkboy and Lavagirl, what are you doing halting my endless fun coaster and infiltrating my lair?
George Lopez is the villainous Mr. Electric, just one of a handful of roles Rodriguez found for his comedian friend. Now, George Lucas is kind of famous for his big line is faster and more intense, yeah. And that's the direction he gives in these big green screen movies. Yeah. What were some of Robert's kind of phrases or the kind of things?
Robert's phrase, you ready for Robert's phrase?
Yeah.
Is, I do movies the Mexican way. Cheaper, faster, better.
I read a quote from you where you said, leave it to a Latino guy to give you a whole bunch of roles, like, you know,
and pay me
5
for
jobs. Yeah.
Pay me for one, yeah. It's true. But, you know, he says, I think you should be this voice. And I was like, okay, and I think you should do that. And I'm like, all right.
Kristin Davis and David Arquette play the movie squabbling mom and dad. Now, both of you have enjoyed a certain level of fame and recognition from anything from Scream to Sex and the City. Are you prepared, however, for the onslaught now of being recognized by every kid in the world? Because you know that's what's going to happen. They're going to have action figures and...
We're into it, right?
Because kids are going to recognize both of you and only know you from this.
Which is totally great. I mean, as David's done movies before that have kid fan bases, and you know, it is true that they have a kind of devotion, and because they tend to watch over and over again, you feel like they really appreciate it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's funny when like a kid recognizes you and they get really specific about their question. Okay, you know, that one scene, was that real dog poop that
Many kids' movies are made so cynically that they're just obnoxious and talk down to their audience. Sharkboy is much different, thanks to real-life kid Racer Max.
These guys have a good barometer for that. I put some temporary music that was kind of silly from another kid's movie in, just temporary, just to kind of block out something. And it wasn't even my own music, but I was playing him the scene, and it was a scene where he shows up, and I thought he would be so distracted seeing himself as Sharkboy for the first time. And he's watching, and he goes, wait a minute, what's that silly music there? It's just temporary, and he goes, I would have liked that when I was 5.
Looks pretty good, Ryan.
Pretty cool. You know, it's taking a bit of a critical beating, but we got to remember the movie is for kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the 3D. Is this the first movie in 3D that's been released in the theaters?
Well, you know, in the last couple of years, Spy Kids 3D was just a couple of years ago, and that movie made a whole bunch of money. The technology hasn't changed a whole lot since then, but it's definitely improved since the days of, like, Hitchcock's Dial M for Murder, or a couple of my favorites, Jaws 3D, Friday the 13th 3D. The only trick is that to really notice the improvements, you have to see a digital projection, which, of course, not very many theaters around the country are doing just yet. But you know, the bigger story here is, of course, Robert Rodriguez and the advancements in technology and storytelling and making music and everything that he is doing. I mean, it's just incredible from that vantage point.
He's such a busy guy these days.
He is, and in fact, he did tell me that there is going to be a sequel to Sin City. He's working on another kid's film with his children called Shorts, and most excitingly to my geek ears, him and Quentin Tarantino are getting back together, this time doing another horror flick. It's going to be called Grindhouse. It's going to be 2 movies in one, each of the directors taking a turn with the same cast playing different characters. So I can't wait for that. If I could buy tickets now, I would.
Yeah, I bet.